What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. This is Isaac, and today we're talking about the controversy of the transgender athlete, Lia Thomas, a biological male who's competing and kicking ass on the scene of collegiate swimming. In particular, a situation happened with Riley Gaines, a 12-time NCAA champion in swimming, recently competed against Lia Thomas, and they tied, and a controversy came about after that tie. In particular, if you can look at this photo, you can see the size difference. You have a 6'1" athlete versus a 5'7" female athlete. Lia Thomas, I would hope you can guess, is the 6'1" swimmer next to Riley Gaines, the short 5'7" female swimmer. And yes, the controversy. Let's talk about it. First off, let's look at it as a common sense approach. That's how I like to look at things. I think the biological male competing in the female sports is a complete travesty. It's a complete cluster. There's no way it makes any sense. In fact, listen to Riley when she talked about how she first became aware of Lia Thomas.
One amazing female athlete who I was very familiar with, because like most sports, your top tier athletes tend to know each other.
Yep.
But ranking first was a person I had never heard of before. And of course, this name was Lia Thomas. But at the time, just looking at this on paper, it didn't really make much sense to me because this person was a senior and I'd never heard of them and came out of nowhere and was leading the nation by multiple seconds in multiple events, ranging from the 100 free, which is a sprint, all the way to a mile, which is a distance event. And so typically, I mean, think of running, your fastest 200 meter runner is not gonna be your fastest 5K runner.
Yeah.
And so there were so many red flags, but it never once occurred to me that this could be a man, just because that was so far out of reach.
Yeah. It's called common sense.
Yeah, right, I know. And so a couple days after these nation leading times were posted, an article was posted disclosing that Lia Thomas did in fact formerly swim on the men's team for 3 years. And so I'm reading this and I'm like, wait, so this is a guy? And when I read this, I was shocked, of course, but I truthfully felt relieved, because when you look up Will Thomas at this point, you can see that they were ranked 462nd at best.
Yeah, couldn't cut it
in the men's division. And so seeing that on paper, I thought surely the NCAA wouldn't let this person compete with us. But of course, that's not what we saw.
Well, there you go. Riley never heard of Lia Thomas, and all of a sudden shows up on the scene and is wrecking shop. Guess what? Ranked 400 and something in his category when he competed as a male, all of a sudden is breaking records by a huge amount of times in swimming, dominating the scene, and it's just unfair. There's no way in your right mind you can say, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. Like, I'm a male, I recognize a female, and I want to compete against other women and dominate. I don't know how you can accept that title, that win, knowing you have such an unfair advantage. Personally, myself, in the male sport, in every male professional sport, and in the college level, male athletes competing against male athletes. Guess what? If you take PEDs, steroids, anything of that nature, you're gone. You're stripped of your title, you're suspended, you're kicked out, because it offers unfair advantage. I don't think it's any different. This is no different. You're taking a 6'1" collegiate swimmer, male, muscle tone, bone density, years of training, lung capacity, identifies a female, and competes against females. It doesn't make sense. Of course he's gonna dominate. What would you expect? It's like the case of the MMA fighter. 2 years, 3 years prior, jacked, swole, identifies as a female. Guess what? Goes to MMA and is winning. Like, is it a shot? I don't know how that male who now identifies as a female can, in good faith conscience, I mean, even if you truly believe in all your heart that you're biologically a male, but you believe you're in your soul, you're a female, I don't see in good faith you can accept and raise your hand and believe you really won fair and square. When you damn know well you was benching probably 250, 300 pounds and squatting 400 pounds and fighting against other males, probably getting your ass kicked, but you are fighting against other males, and then you want to transition and fight against females? That makes no sense. I don't understand that. And here you go with Riley Gaines, a woman that is highly decorated, years of training washed away like nothing. And then there's the scenario where she talks about Lia Thomas changing in the locker room. Listen to this.
You mean to tell me that they had Lia Thomas, a man with male parts, going into a female locker room.
And so the swimming locker room, it's not necessarily a place of modesty. You've grown up swimming, especially when you're at the elite level that we were. You put these suits on that are like skin tight. It takes like 15 minutes to put these suits on. So it's a process to which, of course, you have to be undressed. But as a girl growing up in that environment, you become okay with being vulnerable in that situation because everyone there is in the same situation. And it's a place of chatter. You get to see your friends from all over the country who you haven't seen in so long. And so I was in the locker room, obviously putting my suit on, and all of a sudden it got dead silent. I turn around. I mean, this person's towering over every other person in the locker room, drops the clothes, full male, like a fully intact male with male genitalia. And almost subconsciously, you just cover. Like, it's just a subconscious inherent feeling when you see a male with male parts watching you undress. I thought I was missing something.
I mean, it makes how, as a father, I have 2 young daughters, right? You can tell me I'm gonna put my 18-year-old in a locker room and a grown man who identifies as a female is now gonna change and get butt-ass naked with all his male parts and everybody's supposed to be cool with it? That makes 0 sense. How are the females not gonna feel uncomfortable? How they're not gonna feel some kind of violated? There's just no way to hide it. When that man, Lia Thomas, who identifies as females, gets naked, it is the body of a man. I don't see where's the confusion. Why you feel discriminated? Like, that makes no sense. Now, I'm open to ideas, separate locker rooms, individual facilities for the transgender athlete. Sure, whatever. If that works, that's fine. But you can't expect the female athletes to feel comfortable getting butt-ass naked next to a grown-ass man who just happen to have long hairs and maybe some nails and identifies as a female. You can't lay that expectation down as the transgender athlete at the feet of the biological females. It's unfair, it's unrealistic, it does not make sense. And so here you go. You got Riley Gaines, who now has become an advocate because of this issue. And there's male powerlifters, male sprinters that are competing as females. And guess what? You're gonna have a male boxer that's gonna say, I wanna box against females. And there's gonna be some way, somehow it's gonna happen. And guess what? You're gonna have a major brain injury. You're gonna have a death because it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. You don't see the top professional boxers trying to fight the top females. It's not gonna happen. It wouldn't. The female boxer would not take that fight. But that's the expectation. They want it to be, no, it's not a problem. Let the male compete against the female. That's the pro transgender advocate talking, right? I do jujitsu. Okay, I've done it for 13 years. I'm a black belt. I've competed. And guess what? I'm 47 years old. I compete at the master's level of jiu-jitsu in the tournaments. And if I said, and I wanted to identify as a female, and I wanted to compete against other 47-year-old competitors, black belt competitors, let me tell you, I would win every fucking tournament. I would not lose. I would dominate. Just physically, it would not be possible. Okay, there's not a 47-year-old female in jiu-jitsu that can handle me. I'm just gonna say it, okay? It would not happen. I would fucking dominate. But it makes no sense. Why would the expectation for the female competitors be, hey, you just gotta accept it and go ahead and compete against this female who has every physical advantage of a male? All right, guys, look, if you got a thought about it, if you disagree, let me know and tell me why. Like, help me make sense. I just want it to be known. I'm an attorney. I believe everyone's entitled to certain rights that should be protected. You should not be discriminated against because of what gender you pick, color, race, skin, religion, in the workplace, and opportunities when it comes to making money, to getting certain jobs. If you want a license to say, hey, I'm a female, when biologically you're male, and you do everything you have to do to make that happen, absolutely, get it. It doesn't matter. It's okay. It doesn't affect anybody. But when it comes to sport, competition, It's a huge difference. And it's just a little common sense. It is not that serious. Create a transgender division of swimmers. If there's 10 of them, guess what? There's only 10. You compete against, apples to apples. If there's 50, let them all compete against each other. If they're males that have switched to female and they want to compete, go for it. If it's females that want to be recognized as males, let them compete and go for it and see where they land. But do not expect, particularly when it's a male transitioning to a female, competing against other females, because we know a female that wants to identify as a male, let her try out for the football team. She's probably not going to make the football team. She's not going to be a great fighter. She's not going to, it's just a different issue. It's not unfair for that female to compete against males. They're not going to have that kind of impact. But there is an unfair advantage where you have a biological male competing against females. All right, guys, hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys soon.